Well, I'm a bit late to this, but better late than never, I guess. Hello everyone, SMPhil64 here, back again with another video. And a little while ago, and I had the opportunity to participate in the Sonic Racing CrossWorlds closed network test. And wow. All I could say is wow, this game is going to be a great game when it comes out. Let me explain. The gameplay in this game is great. However, I do have a issue with it. Listen, I don't have anything against kart racers being chaotic. Actually, I think it's fun when kart racers are chaotic. However, in this game, I feel like it's too chaotic, which actually leads to the issue that I have. It's not necessarily the chaos, but it's actually the balancing of the items. The items aren't really balanced that well. A good example of this is that the drill wisp, right, is kind of like the bullet bill of this game, but by no means should there be 3 people that have it and use it at the exact same time. Like, I mean, I know I've seen that before, but I mean, in Mario Kart 8 though, it's even more balanced than it is in this game. Honestly, I feel like the item balancing in this game is like where if you turned on the custom items in Mario Kart 8, where you only choose like the overpowered items and everyone gets it. So I would actually like it if maybe in like when the full game comes out, they do change it to where like in Mario Kart, where you could choose like balance items and then frantic items, or it could be like, I don't know, like boost wisp only or drill wisp only or something like that. I think that would be fun if they did it like that. But yeah, I mean, one thing that I'll also say about it is that the slicer item also just appears way too often. So the slicer just cuts your cart in half, so it's kind of overpowered. Like, I mean, it's just to make you slow down, but yeah, it appears a lot throughout races, and it's like, okay, maybe like lower the limit that it shows up per lap, or like don't make it appear as often per lap. Like, I mean, I feel like it would just be more fair that way. Though, I mean, again, though, I also like how when you did play online, like, it didn't have the issue that, well, it doesn't have the issue that Mario Kart has, which, I mean, I wouldn't really say it's an issue that Mario Kart has, but the thing where, like in Mario Kart, the person in first place, like they could be front running and they could be, like, miles ahead of you. In this game, in Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, you're always in the pack. Always in the pack. Like, the person in first place is never front running. I mean, I would say the only items that actually are balanced, like, I mean, I know, like, I brought up that topic and now I'm switching back to this, but I would say the only items that are balanced are pretty much the non-OP ones, except the blue shell of this game, which is King Boom Boo. Which I actually like how he works in this game compared to the blue shell, where he won't only attack the person in the front. He does attack the person in the front, but when he attacks, he also like shoots out these like tornadoes. Right, there's like 5 or 6 of them that shoot out, and then it hits every racer behind the first place racer, depending on where you are, which I think is actually pretty cool. But also, actually, I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure how to put it. Yeah, so the items are just unbalanced. But anyway, I want to talk about the controls. Do you want to talk about the controls? I want to talk about the controls of this game, right? So let's get into it. The controls are super tight in this game. The drifting is really good. I mean, it did take me a bit to get used to it because I'm used to playing the other Sonic Racing games where the carts are more loose, so I wasn't really expecting it to be so tight, but I got used to it. One thing about this game though is that there are a lot of turns that are pretty sharp, and please correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I believe this is the first Sonic Racing game where it actually has the brake like mapped to a separate button that's not the drift button. Brake drifting was very useful in this game. I'm not sure if many people used it, but I mean, I know I use it, and once I did start to use it, I started to enjoy this game a lot more. Why is because, okay, there's a lot of things to talk about with the gameplay, so I'll try to make this section a bit faster. The rings, right? The rings are kind of like the coins. They help you get up to your top speed, depending on how much you have. The maximum is 100, but there is a gear that you could get that boosts it up to 200. But yeah, how do you lose your rings though? You pretty much could lose your rings by doing anything. You could lose your rings by bumping into other players, you could lose your rings by obviously getting hit by items, and you could also lose your rings by crashing into a wall. And that's why brake drifting is important, is so you don't hit the wall. Okay, I didn't talk about the plane or the boat. The plane and the boat, I liked it. I mean, the boat was a bit weird though. Like, I mean, the boat didn't exactly drift. It just turned, and the drift button, the longer you held it down and you let go, the boat would either jump shorter or it would jump higher, and you could pull off more tricks to go faster. But there wasn't exactly a drift, so that made a few turns in the boat a bit weird, which again, brake drifting was really helpful in this game. And then the plane mode on the cars, that was also pretty good. It kind of felt kind of similar to how they functioned in Transform, but not really. The drift for them did feel a bit off at first, but I got used to it. The drift kind of, like I said, it still works like how it does in Transform, just again, it's more tight. I know someone brought up that the drift only affected the vertical movement of it, which is actually right, but also wrong. It also affects the horizontal movement of the cars. So it did take a bit of time to get used to. That's actually the whole thing about this game. It just takes a bit of time to get used to this game because this game doesn't feel anything like the previous games. I do want to talk about the control layout. You're able to switch between the standard controls or the controls from Team Sonic Racing. So the Team Sonic Racing controls, you use the right trigger to accelerate, the left trigger to drift, you use the A button, or yeah, A on Xbox, B on Nintendo Switch, and then X on PlayStation. That would be to shoot your items. However, the standard controls, which are the default controls in this game, are very similar to the controls in Mario Kart. And it's also laid out like how it is in Mario Kart. I mean, I played on PlayStation, so I'm just gonna use the control terms on PlayStation. So you use the X button to accelerate, you use the circle button to brake, you had the square button to look behind you, and it was pretty cool. You had the right trigger was to shoot the items, and the left trigger was to drift. I prefer those controls because I play Mario Kart a lot more than the Sonic Racing games. Not saying that I don't like the Sonic Racing games. In fact, I went back and played Transform recently, and I enjoyed that game a lot. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. And yeah, I think that's actually all I need to say about the gameplay of this game. I think it's actually very solid. I really like the gameplay in this game. Hold up, I forgot to talk about the main mechanic in this game because I'm such a dumbass. The CrossWorld mechanic is fantastic. It is awesome. I didn't experience any frame drops. I didn't experience any lag when going through portals. And how it works is actually really, really cool. On the tracks, it randomly selects a track every time you play it. So you could play the track that it selected, or you could choose random. And why I think this feature is so neat is that even if you do choose random, like it instantly loads up the track right as you go through the portal, which is great. I mean, I am a bit worried to see how this feature will work on Switch 2. Well, not just on Switch 2, but on Switch 1. I really don't want the game to lag at all, but I have a bad feeling that it probably will on Switch or Switch 2. I don't know. Like, I mean, with Sonic X Shadow Generations, I feel like the Switch port for that game was actually very decent, so they might be able to pull off the same thing here. So like I said, I am a bit worried about it, but not too much. Anyway, let's get back into the video and talk about the online. The online in this game is honestly pretty good. Like, I did get disconnected from a game like a couple of times, but most of the time that took place in the lobby. But yeah, the online is pretty cool. One thing about it is that when you first load into a lobby, it does lag a little bit. Like, it lags for like about 4 or 5 seconds, and then it's a smooth frame rate all the way through. And then when you actually get to the racing portion of the online is flawless. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just smooth gameplay all the way through, and it's a ton of fun. Another thing about the online lobbies though, before I get off this topic, is that you're allowed to, well, there's actually 2 things that I want to talk about. You're allowed to send like these little emotes and stuff, so you'll have like a good luck or a hello or something like that. And when you select the emote, the characters in their car will do like a little like animation with the voice clip as well, which I think is actually pretty cool. And another thing about the online is that you actually have the option to see the other players that are in your room, and you're also able to see their stats and what they're using in the race, which is pretty cool. And yeah, the online in this game is great, and I love it. It's really good. The UI in this game is also a pretty big step up as well from Team Sonic Racing and Sonic Racing Transformed. In this game, the UI is actually very simple. It's actually probably the easiest UI to understand, because like you have I forgot what it said. Like, when you get to the online stuff, like you'll have like 2 options that says like online player or worldwide match or something like that, and then you have, now this feature actually was locked, but when the full game does come out, there will be an option to choose a friend match, meaning that you get to play with your friends only. You don't have to play online with random people. You could play with your friends, which I think is actually a really cool feature. I mean, even before you choose the online, you have I forgot what it was called. I think it just said play, and then online, like you're right next to each other. Which obviously the play feature was blocked off, because again, it's in a closed network test, so you could only play online. To choose the characters, change the gears, and do the carts, a customization for the carts, they were boxes on the right side of the screen, like the top left corner of the screen, that had an icon for each one, which was also very easy to understand. So yeah, I think the UI in this game is definitely very easy to understand, especially for people that probably never played a kart racer. Like, it's pretty easy to understand. So yeah, the UI doesn't really have any flaws, but the only thing that I will say about the UI is that they are, for the icons for the characters, they're still using the 2010s renders, which they really need to get rid of those renders. I see them all the time. It's like, dude, upgrade your renders. You make new renders for your games that look miles better than the 2010s renders. I don't understand why you can't just use the newer ones and not the old ones, but that's the only complaint that I have. I mean, I'm hoping that they're placeholders. Oh yeah, and also the racing UI is really good as well. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the UI. The customization in this game is honestly pretty insane. Especially for a beta, we had quite a bit of options to choose from. Like we had an option for changing cart parts. We had a paint option, which is actually really cool. You're allowed to paint like well, pretty much how your cart looks, right? It could also change the color of the tires. You're allowed to change the color of the cockpit. It's really cool. And then there's also a sticker tab, which just allows you to put, well, an emblem on the front of the car, or a sticker on the front of the car. But those were the only 3 tabs that we had access to. But it seems like in the full release of the game, we're gonna have a tab for the horn. We're gonna have a tab for, it seems like the boosters for the car. And what I mean by that is like when you do like a startup boost, or if you get like a boost wisp, there will be flames that come out the back of the car. So I'm guessing you're going to be able to change the color of that. And then it seems like the last one looks like, it just looks like a randomizer, which I guess would randomly customize your car, which is pretty cool. I don't really see that many people using that, but I mean, it is a cool feature. But yeah, that's all I really need to say about the, you know, the customization. You have a really good like variety of options to choose from when it comes to making your own car, so that's always a positive. A new addition to this game is the gear system. So what the gears do is that, well, the best way to put it is that they're pretty much the RPG element in this game. So you know how like in an RPG you buy items to help improve your stats in the game? Well, that's pretty much what the gears are. They improve the gameplay and the racing, well, and how you race. So the main gears that I used was the quick trick gear, the giant rocket glove gear. I'm not exactly sure what that item is called. And then I also used the ringed booster gear, which what that did was that every time I got a ring, it pretty much doubled the amount that I got. So if I got one ring, right, well, if I collected one ring, it would go in as 2 rings. And obviously you want to get to your top speed as fast as possible, so that way you're able to, you know, go fast, because that's what you want to do in a kart racer. But yeah, the gears though are kind of like the strategy, or the strategic part of this game. It does require like you to actually think like of what gears you would want to use and how that may affect your gameplay. And like I said, in the online, when you could see the other people that you're racing with and their characters and their carts and all that, you're also allowed to see what gears they're using. So if someone in the room has like an overpowered setup with your gears, you could copy their setup, and that again just leads to even more chaos in this game. But yeah, I think the gears is like, I think it's actually a really good addition to this game. Again, we didn't have access to all of them, but we had access to a good amount of them, so I'm really excited to see what other gears there might be, because that will be a lot of fun to play around with. I do want to talk about the tracks themselves, both the main tracks and the CrossWorld tracks. Those tracks are designed very well. There are a ton of shortcuts in both the main track and the CrossWorld tracks, which compared to Team Sonic Racing, that game only had like maybe about 1 or 2 shortcuts on every track. I could be wrong, but that was one thing that I didn't really like about Team Sonic Racing, is that even though like when there was a shortcut or a different route that acted as a shortcut, it didn't feel like a shortcut. This game though, like, does shortcuts very well. I mean, even on the third lap, like in East Stadium or Ocean View, there's actually a shortcut that opens up that leads to a warp ring, and pretty much like either what it does is that it acts as a shortcut to put you further ahead of everyone, or the one in Ocean View, I think what that one does is that it acts as a shortcut, but it also leads to a path that has better items. Like I said though, the tracks themselves though are filled to the brim with shortcuts. Well, not shortcuts like all over the place, but there are a fair amount of them per track, and it's really cool. Also, while we're talking about tracks, you guys probably don't care, but my favorite main track is Wonder Museum, and why I like that track so much, or why I like that main track so much, is because on the first lap, it's like you take a tour through a museum. There are a lot of references in there. You got the Frontier statues, the Thwomp things from Sonic Lost World. Like, you got the tornado from Sonic Unleashed in there, right? And also another thing that I really like about that track is that on lap 3, everything comes to life, Night at the Museum style. If you've seen that movie, I'm pretty sure most of you guys have seen that movie. I could be wrong, but yeah, but everything comes to life. The dinosaur fossils, they like try to eat you. I know there's like one part with the ship that rocks back and forth, and you want to try not to get hit by the oars when you're trying to go for that boost pad. There's one section that has like, well, that's like not a mural of cars, but it shows like how cars looked over the ages, and then on the third lap you see the cars actually driving around on the track, so you want to avoid that. And then the tornado plane from Unleashed, it actually turns into the battle mode version of it, and then it just starts spinning around, and and like there's stuff to collect there, but you kind of want not necessarily time it, but like with the tricks, you're also able to do like a barrel roll to move left or right, so you could also get it that way. I don't know, it's really cool. I loved it. And yeah, and then my favorite CrossWorld track is Dinosaur Jungle. Why is that my favorite CrossWorld track? I just really like the aesthetic of it. I really like how you're driving through this dinosaur jungle. Meanwhile, there's like dinosaurs running around in front of you, and you want to dodge their feet, and then they try to eat you, and then like towards the end of that track, you drive on a dinosaur. Like, I just think it's really cool. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about the tracks. The music in this game is okay. Yeah, it's not as good as the previous Sonic Racing games, but it's alright. The music for the first lap and the CrossWorlds are actually pretty good. But then you get to the third lap, and that's kind of just a mixed bag. You either like it or you don't like it. For me, I kind of don't like it that much. I'll show you an example of the music in Ocean View. Here's what the first lap sounds like. And here's what the third lap sounds like. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, for me, the third lap gives me vibes of like a soccer game or a football game. Like, I mean, I know they're the same thing, but yeah, I just get vibes from that, and for me, that just doesn't really work for a racing game. Like, really, what I would have preferred, because like most of the first lap songs are played with like piano and has like some drums in it. I would have liked it if you had the first lap stayed the same, but then when you got to the third lap, it was more energetic, more upbeat, like kind of had like a rock style to it, just to kind of create that tension and everything. Like, oh shit, you're on the last lap, you gotta get to the finish line and come out in first place, right? But yeah, that's like the only complaint that I really have about the music. Other than that, the music is actually pretty good. Besides a few small nitpicks, Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is shaping up to be a fantastic game when it comes out, and I can't wait to play the full version of this game. I want to thank Sega for allowing me to participate in this test for Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, and I am 99.9% sure that everyone else that got to participate in this test also want to thank you guys for allowing them to play the game early as well. And yeah, those are my thoughts on the current state of Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you guys are excited for this game, and if not, you could either explain or just say, nah, I'm not excited. But me personally though, I am very excited for this game. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. SMPhil64 out. Peace.